No lighter, no matches, no spark wheel, just your hands, a stick, and the raw need to survive the night. Stone Age humans made fire, and the method was far more brutal than you think. Fire was not a convenience for Stone Age humans. It was the difference between eating and starving, between warmth and freezing to death, between safety and being eaten in the dark. Before controlled fire, early humans were prey. Predators ruled the night. Saber-toothed cats, cave hyenas, giant bears, they all had one advantage over humans. They could see and hunt after sundown. Humans could not. A fire changed that equation completely. The moment a group of early humans kept a flame burning through the night, the predators backed off. Not because the animals were afraid of light, because fire meant something unpredictable, something they had never evolved to handle. But fire did something even more powerful than protect. It cooked food, and cooked food changed human biology. Raw meat is hard to digest. Your body burns enormous energy breaking it down. Cooked meat is softer, safer, easier to process. The calories your gut freed up by not grinding through raw food went somewhere else. They went to your brain. Researchers believe the dramatic expansion of the human brain over the last few 100,000 years is directly tied to cooking. Fire did not just warm humans, fire made humans smarter. Fire also extended the day. Without it, when the sun dropped, activity stopped. With a hearth, humans could talk, plan, craft tools, and pass down knowledge after dark. The campfire became the first classroom, the first meeting room, the first theater. Every story ever told around a fire, every lesson passed from elder to child. That tradition started here, in the Stone Age, with a flame that someone had to work very hard to create. And here is the part that often gets overlooked. Fire was not always easy to start. It was not guaranteed. On a wet day, in winter, with damp wood and cold fingers, making fire from scratch could take hours or fail entirely. Which means the people who knew how to do it reliably were not just useful, they were essential. Fire makers held real social power in early human groups. The skill was taught, practiced, and protected. There were two main techniques Stone Age humans used to make fire, and both of them require something modern people drastically underestimate: sustained physical effort and exact material knowledge. The first method is called the hand drill. You take a straight, dry spindle, typically a reed or a thin hardwood stick, roughly half a meter long. You place the sharpened tip into a small notch carved into a flat piece of softer wood called a fireboard. Then, you roll the spindle rapidly between both palms, pressing down hard, while your hands slide downward with each rotation. You reach the bottom, reposition, and go again, over and over, for minutes. The friction generates heat at the notch. Fine dark powder accumulates. This is called the ember dust. If you do it correctly for long enough, that dust begins to glow. You have a coal, a tiny, fragile, glowing coal that will die if you breathe on it wrong or set it down carelessly. You transfer it into a prepared bundle of dry tinder, dry grass, shredded bark, cattail fluff, and you cup it in your hands and blow, slowly and steadily, until the bundle catches flame. The second method is the bow drill, and it is the upgrade. Instead of rolling the spindle with your palms, you loop a bowstring around it. One hand holds a top cap steady, pressing down on the spindle. The other hand draws the bow back and forth horizontally. The spindle spins faster with more consistent pressure. It still takes effort, but it is significantly more reliable than the hand drill, especially in humid conditions. Both methods depend entirely on the right wood combination: soft fireboard, harder spindle, dry, always dry, willow, cedar, cottonwood, mullein. These work. Oak on oak does not. Wet wood produces nothing but tired arms. Stone Age humans learned this through trial, failure, and the kind of hard experience you only get when the alternative is freezing. The hand drill and bow drill produce fire through friction, heat from wood-on-wood contact. But there was a second category of fire making entirely: percussion sparks. And this one starts with a rock. Flint is a glassy, hard stone that fractures with razor-sharp edges. Strike it at the right angle against iron pyrite, a metallic mineral also called fool's gold, and you get a shower of sparks, hot enough to ignite tinder. Archaeologists have found flint and pyrite together at ancient sites across Europe, often alongside charred plant material, the remnants of tinder bundles. This was not accidental. These tools were kept together because they functioned as a set, a Stone Age fire kit. The technique sounds simple. It is not. The angle matters, the force matters. The distance between the struck sparks and the tinder matters. Strike too hard and you scatter the sparks wide. Strike too soft and they die before landing. The tinder bundle needs to be exactly the right dryness and texture to catch a single spark and hold it as a growing coal. What is remarkable is the evidence of how far back this goes. Sites in France and Belgium show percussion fire-making tools dating back over 400,000 years. These were not modern humans. They were earlier species, Neanderthals and Homo heidelbergensis, who had figured out that one specific rock, struck against another specific mineral, produced something useful. Fire-making knowledge was not instinct. It was technology. It was invented, refined, and passed on across hundreds of thousands of years. The lighter in your pocket is separated from a Neanderthal's flint strike by 400 millennia of human ingenuity, and the exact same underlying principle. Here is the part nobody talks about. The smartest fire strategy in the Stone Age was not making fire, it was keeping it alive. Starting fire from scratch is exhausting and unreliable. Carrying an existing ember, that is efficient. Early humans developed ways to transport fire across long distances. They packed slow-burning materials, punk wood, dried fungus, rolled bark, that could hold a coal for hours without bursting into open flame. You carry it carefully. You feed it small amounts of air. You arrive at camp and coax it back into a full fire. Ethnographic studies of hunter-gatherer groups that survived into the modern era show this practice clearly. Groups would go to great lengths to keep a communal fire burning. Moving camp, someone carries the fire. Relocating across a river, the fire comes first. Letting a communal fire die was a serious problem, not just practically, but socially. It signaled that the group had failed at something fundamental. There is also evidence that some early human groups stole fire. When lightning struck a dead tree and set it burning, that was an opportunity. You did not need to make fire if nature handed it to you. You grabbed a burning branch and you kept it going. This reframes how we think about Stone Age humans. They were not randomly stumbling through a brutal world hoping something worked. They were strategic. They planned. They maintained systems, fire-keeping systems, across generations, the knowledge of which wood smoldered longest, which fungi held a coal, which bark rolled tight enough to travel. That was inherited expertise, passed down like any other critical survival technology. Fire was not just a tool they made, it was something they tended, protected, and carried, because losing it cost more than most things in their world. 400,000 years of fire making, and the core logic never changed. The right materials, the right friction, the right knowledge passed from one person to the next. If this made you think differently about how early humans actually lived, subscribe. There is a lot more where this came from.